Hello and welcome to this Hangout on Air from Suntico, especially for companies that use Sage 50 accounting software. Today, we have a very special Hangout on Air to discuss how you can control access to your Sage 50 data by your sales teams based on sales team membership or allocation of accounts to a territory. My name's Hugh Johnson. I'm Head of Business Development at Suntico. And if you enjoyed this Hangout on Air and like to share it with your friends or followers, please do so. If you'd like to get in touch with me after this Hangout, you can via the normal social channels or by email at hugh.johnson@suntico.com. So, as I said, today we're talking about controlling access to your Sage 50 data by your sales teams. So the very first question you would want to ask is why? And we'll spend a couple of minutes just examining that question. Then we'll go on to take a look at how it works from a kind of theoretical point of view. And then finally, I will show you how you can do that using Suntico connected to Sage 50. So first, why would you want to? Why would you want to give your sales teams access to your Sage 50 data? And why would you want to control that access in a particular way? Well, there are two reasons. The first reason, or the first point to make, is why would you want to give them access to your Sage 50 data in the first place? Well, if you're a business-to-business company doing regular trading with a set of customers, your account reps visiting those customers can be armed with information about purchase history by those customers and about the status of the customer account. And this can get off the table some of those awkward questions or difficult questions that the customer might have about delivery or invoicing and so on, so that the rep can concentrate then on getting new sales made and new orders taken. So that's the reason why you would want to deliver your Sage 50 data into the hands of the rep, because your Sage 50 system is a store of a wealth of information about your customers. But the next question is, well, why would you want to control that access or narrow that access? And again, I think this picture says it all, because sales reps are notorious for hopping from one company to another and taking with them lists of customers, lists of customer accounts, price lists, and so on, so that they can make a very good and effective start for your competitor. And of course, this is something you really don't want to happen. So on the one hand, you want to grant access to your sales reps to that rich set of customer information so that they can serve your customers better. But on the other hand, you don't want to give them full access to all customer information so that they can walk out the door and say bye as they walk off to the competition. So really what we're saying is that surely the best of both worlds is if you can grant your reps very deep access to customer information, but access that is narrow and only specific to the customers that those reps and customer accounts that those reps deal with. So what I'll do now is I'll just introduce how we've set up that facility within Suntico, because there are basically two layers to this, but it's actually very simple. In the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, I've got a screenshot from Sage 50 US edition, just looking at a customer record. And in Sage 50, there's this concept of a default sales rep. So any orders, any transactions, any invoices, any dealings with that customer are automatically allocated to that sales rep, perhaps for commission or recognition purposes. And what Suntico does is it pulls that information up into Suntico so that the account records within Suntico also carry the same default sales rep as you have set up in Sage 50. And if you change that sales rep in Sage 50, that also changes in Suntico as well. And so on the one hand, you might just want to grant access, therefore, to a sales rep to his or her set of accounts, and that's fine. But then you might have a sales manager looking after a sales team, which is effectively a collection of sales reps. So you might want to grant access for the sales manager to detailed information of all the accounts that are managed by his or her sales team. And equally, some of the senior executives of the company or some people in other departments, you may want to grant full access to all accounts company-wide. So really what Suntico provides is this kind of hierarchy within a sales team where each account can be allocated to a sales team, and each user, you can grant access to your Sage 50 records company-wide, or to a specific sales team, or just to the accounts that are nominated against that particular user. And that is fine for most purposes. But what we've also added within Suntico is the ability to have a kind of overlay of named accounts, where, say, for example, if you had some named accounts, important major accounts that straddled two different sales teams, and you wanted somebody to be able to manage those. It might be a product specialist based on accounts that have bought a particular product. We've also facilitated that within Suntico, and I'll just explain that now in a second. So here we've got an illustration, for example, of two sales territories, or two sales teams. We've got maybe a California team and a Nevada team, but we've got four major accounts that actually straddle both those sales teams. And a particular rep or a particular sales manager, or you may want to grant access to, say, for example, all the accounts in the California sales team, plus all those green ones that are shown on the screen, in a kind of layered approach. And as I say, there are many different reasons why you might want to do this. You might want to do it, for example, some of our clients like to do this, where you've got accounts that straddle a border or are very close to a border, and if they've organized themselves maybe on a geographical basis, but for convenience, they sometimes want to enable a rep that is perhaps based near that border to manage accounts that actually straddle two different sales teams. And that's one way in which you might use this. Another way in which you might use this is you might categorize your accounts from an account category point of view, and you may want to grant certain specialists within your company access to all accounts that fall into a certain category, regardless of what sales team they belong to. And again, that's another way of managing that. So it's a kind of two-layer approach that gives you an enormous amount of flexibility in terms of how you grant access to your Sage 50 data. So without further ado, what I'm going to propose is we take a quick look. On the screen at the moment, what you will see is that I've logged into Suntico, and I've logged in to a company called Bellwether Garden Supply, and I'm logged in as Dolores Flowers, who happens to be administrator on this Suntico subscription that is linked to my Sage 50 accounting software. And as you may have seen in previous demonstrations, the Sage 50 data is synchronized and pulled up into Suntico, around which you can create other activities and tasks and events and discussions, basically enriching that Sage 50 data and helping you automate in a kind of ad hoc way your workflow through the business. But I'm not going to go into that at the moment. What I'm going to show you is actually how you control user access within the system, and specifically for use with sales reps. So if I drill down into the user management and users, I'm just going to show you by illustration the user profile I've set up for one particular user called Derek Gross. So here are all the different users on the system, and if I go to somewhere here we have Derek Gross, excuse me. Here we are. I drill down to look at Derek's profile. I control what he can see in a number of ways. Firstly, I can define different access profiles in a generic form. And I can have, I've set up, for example, a profile called an in-house rep or an external rep. And I've assigned the profile of external rep to Derek Gross because he's an external rep within the company. And I can define within the system what these different profiles mean in terms of what data people can see and what they can do with that data. But what I actually want to show you is then how we control what accounts that Derek can see. And firstly, since Suntico is a multi-company system, I can control what companies he has access to. And I've granted him access to this Bellwether Garden Supply Company by clicking yes there. I'm not granting him access to all accounts within the system. I am granting him access to his own accounts. So any account within Sage 50 that has Derek nominated as the account rep, he will have access to automatically. But on top of that, I have also granted him access to any accounts that I've defined as, it shows up small on the screen, that actually says major accounts. So I've defined an account list called major accounts. And basically, Derek Gross can access any of those major accounts. I can turn that on and off as administrator of the system. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to log on as Derek Gross, but just for illustration purposes, I'm just going to show you the list of accounts that Dolores has access to. And clear all filters. And you actually see that Dolores actually has access to 82 account records altogether. That's 82 records that the company is dealing with. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to log on now as Derek Gross. So here we've got Derek Gross's session. And I've pulled up Derek's list of accounts. And the first thing you'll notice there is that there are 10 records. So he's accessing the same company data, but there are only 10 records. And what you will see, because I've customized this column just for this view, for this demonstration, is, well, firstly, the rep on these accounts, yep, we've got all the accounts that Derek is assigned to. So our rep there for Ultra Builders is Derek Gross. We've also got a couple of accounts here, one for a rep, Susan Pritchard, another Leonard Sweet, where Derek isn't the rep, but they fall into this territory called major accounts because we assigned Derek access to the major accounts territory. So in a very simple way, what we've done is we've granted very deep access to an individual rep for an individual, or for his set of accounts, showing all the orders, the invoices, the history, the products the customer has bought, but just for those customers. Plus, we've included an additional list that we've called major accounts. Now we can turn that on or off as we want. And if we go back to the main presentation, what I've done is I've just given you a kind of whistle-stop tour of how this works within Suntico, but what I would suggest, if you think this is relevant to your business, why not try it yourself? If you go to our website and just go to the homepage at www.suntico.com and just go to the top right-hand corner, and if you go to try out our demo on the homepage and just fill in the form, what we'll do is automatically we'll send you a set of log-on credentials where you can log on to this Bellwether Garden Supply demo account and try that for yourself and see how it fits your business. I would like to thank you for your attention and for attending this Hangout on Air. And please do drop by for our next one that we're having in 2 weeks. And we'll be showing how you can use hashtags to filter and search and sort on your Sage 50 data.